So let me go over some of the programs I've been in. This thing's gonna cut me off, by the way, most likely. I'm in a lot of pain anyway, so it's probably a good thing because this is gonna not be fun to talk right now, but it's important. So the programs saw a lot of medications being administered to me. I remember the one in Haverhill having a doctor up there and my mother being on meetings. There was a lot of Seroquel and Thorazine and Trazodone and a couple other ones mixed in. Those are ones that changed off and on. I mean, those other ones were pretty much constant. Anyways, there was also lithium, but the lithium mixed with everything else put me over the edge drooling, so all the time. So they cut that back and just made me a drooler half of the time. And I never understood. I mean, I was fucked up all the time. I just got better for a couple hours as the meds wore off. Everybody knew this. It wasn't no secret. But they called it hyper. Oh, no. He's up. I'm always up. If I'm not in pain and shaking on the ground bleeding, I'm working hard to help other people. And I like warmth. As long as I'm warm, I'm up. Yeah, I'm always up. If you stick me in the cold, make me shake on the ground, seethe, and go in and out of the hospital, I might not be so happy about that. Now, some of these programs, like I said, they didn't know how to make heads or tails of me with all those drugs involved. Like, for instance, there was a lot of times I was brought to the emergency room, but there was no drugs found. There was other times I was brought to the emergency room and PCP was found. That's from a cough medicine called Cortisone and cough and cold. Every single time I took cough medicine, I was brought to the emergency room. But also, every single time I took my regular medicine, just as prescribed, there was a lot of staff that just said, he looks fucked up, bring him to the emergency room. But see, they ended up learning to only catch me before my meds. The staff did not like it after I took my meds because they couldn't tell the difference. I'd be fucked up every night. They would drug test me on my meds all the time too, and there'd be nothing because I wasn't. If I smoked weed, I couldn't do it much because I would pop. Like once, I think, like maybe in a 2 month period, you could smoke weed there if you're skinny like me for some reason. But they drug tested constantly there, constantly, constantly. And they did hospitals too. If your drug test came back fine, they would bring you to the hospital if they still thought you looked fucked up. And that was happening a lot for my regular medication. Like when I went home and I took my regular medication, I got all fucked up. I had to find a remote booklet. The cops were called. They brought me back to the program. But I looked so fucked up on my medication that they drug tested me. Cost nothing. And that was a lot of the time. There was also other times where we had false positives that made no sense. Like for instance, I had some tranquilizer. Oh my God, I know it as an adult now, but as a kid I thought it was a pill, but it's not. It's called the horse tranquilizer. People want to say Thorazine, but that's not right. It's the clubbers use it. Anyways, I pop positive for a very rare sedative that only like anesthesiologists or people like my mother might be able to get. So I don't know what that was about, but I definitely didn't get any of that rare drug. I did actually, at the age of, I don't know, 23 or something, get offered that drug. I didn't take it. It was too expensive, and I don't even know with that memory. I don't think so. I don't think that's a great idea. It does seem like an interesting drug, but I heard something about damage to the bladder where I'm fucked up, so it doesn't seem like that would ever be an option as a one-time thing for me. But I've tried enough of my categories of drugs to know what a drug is. Um, I hear that puts you in a K. Oh, ketamine. Ketamine, that's the name of it, ketamine. People tell me they can go in a K hole, or they can go in a trip, or they can feel like they're on dope. Depends on you how you do it. A guy who does lines, I guess, dopey, and the people who do it other ways, I don't know how they really do it, but I guess it could put you in a trip. How do you make that shit make you trip? I don't know. Yeah, that must be like the doctor IV, like in the military, because those were the Vietnam guys that were telling me that. They're like, in Vietnam, we got IV drips of that shit. And I'm like, what? Really? Really? Is that true? So, yeah, I popped for some really rare ketamine drug at the age of, I don't know, 13, 14. So there was a lot of these programs getting weird, weird. Like, what do we make of this kid? He's popping for weird drugs. Then he's sober completely. He's all fucked up on pills and medications. They say he has all these disorders, but he's one of our best behaved. It just seems like everybody picks on him. He watches cartoons. He's definitely immature and definitely like 3 years behind on like what he likes, like for cartoons, what his education seems to be. But yet he does circles around some of these kids mentally, verbally. He seems to be more mature in other ways, like way past it. So they don't know what to make of me. Plus, 1 minute during like winter, I'm horrible a lot of the time. Minute during summer, I'm great. Then on top of that, you got me indoors being warm, having more skills than outdoors in the cold. You got me not liking the van rides and having difficulty, even talking or really communicating. They have me passing out, falling asleep in the car rides a lot. They got a lot of weird, weird things going on, and they got staff members in and out buying. Some of those staff members used to buy us cigarettes, but when I ended up having that ability, I was the only kid in that program that could buy cigarettes. I was the only kid smart enough to figure out how to just go into a store and buy cigarettes and not get in trouble for it. Very lucky I didn't. But because of that, a staff member that used to buy him cigarettes brought it to me. This was a cousin of another staff member. There was a staff member, new or old, every 3, 4 months. Those places get rotation. These people aren't highly trained for this. Some of them are. Like there was one I think was a little more trained. He was an angry guy, but he was definitely trained for the job, and he left promptly. Then we got a lot of people local who definitely are not trained to be handling children. And I doubt any of those reports really were that great going up. How much do you think they really listened to what the child was saying? Like, for instance, one child jumped me, and then he threw something at my spine, knowing that I have pulses there. All the children know this. They know it. The staff are fucking giving a shit. So he throws a football right where he knows it hurts me the most. And we're not playing football, by the way. He's just picking up a ball and he decides to nail me in the back. So I start running at him, and then he starts running at me like he wants to punch me. So I just grab a stick and hit him in the head and start beating the fuck out of him. Of course, the cops are called, and I'm talked to, and then we talk to about the jumping and the how he jumped me and all that bullshit. So, tit for tat bullshit. None of that should have happened. I should have been getting medical treatment years before that for what was going on in my back. Instead of getting totally lost when people take advantage of the fact they know I get shocked and hurt and I can't move if you do that. And these kids were rotting about me. Oh my God, if they knew something hurt me, they twisted it. Oh yeah, you better believe it. And they loved in those hospitals lying to staff members to get other kids hurt that were honest. If you were a goody two shoes like me, oh fuck yeah. Oh, those assholes would make up stories to try to stick with you for life. And with a mother like mine, oh boy, did it get me hurt still today. And I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm so tired. I mean, nobody deserves to get treated like I did. Nobody. I have a couple hyperactivity type things going on with me where I'm hyper all the time. That's what my child stuff was. I was hyper, 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 hyper. That's it. But after my mother was done with me, PTSD, anxiety, and now I have multiple physical ailments, physical problems with my body. You put all that together, and yeah, I got shit wrong with me now. It didn't have to be that way, and it doesn't. And it's getting. I mean, it could get a lot worse. I can come back from this and help a lot of people, but not if I can't ever get medical care and if I continue to be refused to be treated like a person and have no rights whatsoever for 25 years. I didn't have any rights at age 5, and I still don't have any today. I've been asking just to be treated like a human being. That's it. Like anybody else who had to go through this. If your child or somebody, your brother, had to go through this, or your cousin, or your wife, or your husband, or anybody had to go through this and clean this mess up, would you want him to just not be able to? Or would you want there to be some way for this person to get medical care and at least move on from this? I mean, this is a lot of why you see so many heavily medicated people and so many nuts out there who are broken because they couldn't get wrap their heads around crazy shit like this. Luckily, I was able to, and I can